this evening. And before we start, I'd like to say Happy Africa Women's Day to all the ladies. My name is Brenda Rufaro Chiutsi, and I am the Regional Manager at Africa Business Leadership Institute. I'm a certified business advisor and management consultant with a passion for building ecosystems that empower African entrepreneurs to grow and lead sustainably. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working across South Africa, Zimbabwe, DRC, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, and Burundi, supporting founders through mentorship, strategy, and business development programs. It is a joy to welcome you all today at our very first Women's Month Masterclass series. And it is themed Empowering Women Founders, Fueling Inclusive Innovation. Before I go further, I would like to acknowledge our leadership on the platform. We are honored to be joined by our CEO, Mr. Stephen Chikojo, a bold continental voice in leadership, innovation, and sustainable development. I would also like to acknowledge our Chief Strategist and Marketing Officer, Ms. Lebohang Noruana Mkhizi, whose strategic brilliance continues to shape ABLI's impact across the continent. With us behind the scenes is our partner, and I would love to introduce him to you. His name is Vuyisa Kabaka, well known as Vu in the social circles. And he is a leading innovation strategist, ecosystem builder, and investor in Africa's startup landscape. He is a founding partner at HYBR Group, Hyber Group. He is also a co-founder of Uprise Africa and a driving force behind Entrepreneur Traction. All platforms empower high growth ventures and advancing inclusive innovation across the continent. So that's the mandate, to advance inclusive innovation across the continent. Vu is a longtime champion of township entrepreneurship, and he combines deep strategic insight with a passion for grassroots impact. And as ABLI and ABI, Africa Business Inc., we are proud to have Mr. Kabaka as a partner on this journey to empower women founders and scale Africa's next generation of change makers. Also on the platform, we have a special guest. His name is Femi Moito, and he is the founder or the CEO of Innovest Africa, an organization committed to unlocking Africa's entrepreneurial potential through inclusive innovation, strategic funding, and founder-focused programming. Femi's work has touched ecosystems across Nigeria, Ghana, and now South Africa, always with one clear mission: to elevate Africa's brightest minds and boldest ventures. Together with ABLI, we are proud to announce the launch of Innovest Ignite Accelerator, an 8-week high-impact program for women-owned and women-led business in South Africa. I will not share much on this, lest I preempt what Mr. Moito has prepared for our session today. We are also joined by our strategic partner, Mandisa Mkwanyana. She is the president of the Business Women's Association of South Africa, BOASA. Mandisa is a strategist, serial entrepreneur, and a visionary leader who is shaping bold advocacy efforts that push the gender parity and economic inclusion. We are thrilled to announce that Africa Business Leadership Institute and BOASA have joined forces not only for this Women's Month program, but also for long-term women-centric initiatives across the continent. So look out for more. Our keynote speaker for today is Egla Ntumba, but I'd like to share my sincere apologies to everyone on the platform. Egla came down with a terrible cold. She is on the platform with us today, but the voice is gone. So the face is here behind the scenes, but voiceless. We, however, have a representative or a colleague, partner of hers who will be speaking on her behalf and shedding light into their organization. Be that as it may, I will share briefly about Egla Ntumba. Egla is the co-founder and managing partner of MSFiT Ventures, a Cape Town-based SME fund designed to address Africa's persistent funding gap by investing in high-growth, women-led businesses. And she's also an investor and a visionary ecosystem architect. Her background is both vast and diverse, and I'll explain. Egla is a former senior corporate banker with Standard Chartered Bank, and she has managed a trade finance portfolio worth over $1 billion, gaining deep insight into cross-border commerce and global finance. Egla later served—
Go back to school at 18 or stay to current age?
Egla also served as a venture capitalist investor at Newtown Partners, a global VC firm founded by Vinnie Lingham, where she oversaw strategic investments in African startups and partnered with global giants such as DP World to unlock growth in frontier markets. You might want to ask, what makes her stand out? What sets Egla apart? All right. So before stepping fully into the investment world, Egla was the chief operating officer of a scaling retail business, where she spent 8 years building internal systems, managing teams, and navigating the everyday pressures of entrepreneurship. So Egla understands intimately what it means to build something from the ground up. Through MSFiT Ventures, Egla is tackling—
and I felt like this was a good reminder both for myself to understand the things that are happening in my life, but also to know that
Okay, I had paused because someone's mic was unmuted. I'll continue. So through MSFiT Ventures, Egla is tackling $330 billion SME funding gap by providing flexible, founder-friendly capital to women across sectors, from fintech and logistics to health tech and ad tech. Her investment thesis is bold but clear about investing in women and multiplying impact. Egla is also a top-ranked mentor on the VC4A platform. She is also a regular speaker and judge on innovation panels across Africa. Egla is as well a fierce advocate for gender-lens investing and inclusive innovation. She believes in building from the inside out, empowering founders not only with capital, but with systems, governance, and mindset needed to scale sustainability. We are deeply honored today to have Egla on the platform and her partner, Jill, who is going to share more about MSFiT and the company's vision to advance women in business. Thank you. So now on our program, I would like to call upon Mandisa, the president of Business Women Association of South Africa. A warm welcome to you, Mandisa. Please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for the very warm introduction and just pacing what this evening is about. First and foremost, can everybody hear me loud and clear? Okay,
loud and clear, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And happy Africa Women's Day, everybody. I hope it has been a day of reflection and a day of really thinking about where women are in the continent. So my name is Mandi Sankwanyana.
High school. Are you guys still best friends? Yeah.
Am I still best friends with who? I'm joking. May we kindly mute because I don't know if you're asking me the question. But yes, I'm still best friends with Brenda, no problem. But let me pick up from where we are. My name is Mandi Sankwanyana. I am a woman first, an African woman, born and bred in Johannesburg, South Africa, with our roots from our family stemming from KZN. I am a strategist second, having honed my skills in the media and communication space for the past, it's 21 years this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm a mom third to three amazing, beautiful children. My first being my heart child, I like to say. My brother passed away many years ago, and my niece has been my baby since. And my two not so young ones, a teenager that kind of drives me crazy at times, and an 8-year-old boy that keeps me very, very fit. But I think on this particular panel this evening, well, it's morning somewhere. I think it's morning in Australia already, so we're safe. But this evening is to really talk about my journey in business under the theme of, empowering founders. As a founder myself, just sharing a bit of my journey, and also how my journey led me to finding an association such as the Business Women's Association. And I'll also share a bit of that as well. So thank you for having me, Brenda, and I look forward to the partnership and the amazing work we will roll out as partners over the next few months, over the next few years. And I really look forward to the conversations that are going to be held tonight, and also learning from other leaders that have walked a few steps ahead of me in terms of how we can also learn and expand from each other. Because it's a masterclass, just because I'm on this side doesn't mean I know everything. So I'm also looking forward to getting insights and learning from the panelists to really be able to advance myself and also share that knowledge with the women that I represent. So just to kick off, Brenda gave me a bit of a framework because we spent 30 minutes on a Zoom call talking about other things that we were supposed to talk to. So she has to really frame me or else I might take up everybody's time. So my journey in business really started 8 years ago. And I know this timing very well because I started my business when my son was 6 weeks old. He was 6 weeks old. I was still on maternity leave. But the urge of business was always there. I had dabbled in small things here and small things there. but it was also a moment for me to really affirm and keep promises that I made to myself. So I started Rubik's Media 8 years ago. And when we started, the business wasn't Rubik's Media. I had a business partner then, and we had our sights set on, taking over world stages. But as you know, in business, certain things happen, challenges come along the way. You might find that you selected a partner and you don't have the same vision. So I found that our first enterprise basically closed after 8 months, which was first a shock, because when you're sitting and you're planning on your beautiful drawing pad or your whiteboard about how you're going to start this business, and this is going to happen in 3 months, and that's going to happen in 8 months, you never anticipate that the person you went to CIPC with and designed a logo with and did all these amazing things with, it will actually fall apart. So one of the first challenges of really understanding the world of business, the world of entrepreneurship, the world of the fact that you can plan everything to the T, but there are some risks that you may not anticipate along the way. But true to the word, because I had decided that, look, I'm not doing this logging in at 8 o'clock and being told what time to come in or not. I stuck to it and registered Rubik's Media 8 years ago. So our business literally lasted about 6 months until we decided that we are going our separate ways, and then we had to start again. But what I want to highlight to any founder or any woman that's on the panel who is going through those similar challenges, I think the most important thing to ask yourself, regardless of who you go into partnership with, what you need to ask yourself is, why am I still here? Why did I start this? Because you may meet partner X, you may collaborate with business Y, but if you don't have your clear why and why you still need to stay on the path, you might end up giving up. So that was the first lesson, is really asking myself, why did I actually start a business? And my core answer to that, and what really led me to starting a business in media and communication in the age and the time that we started it, was the fact that in as much as there was transformation in our industry in marketing and communications and advertising, there was still not enough faces like myself. There weren't enough women like me. There weren't enough women that are owning agencies. There weren't enough women that are sitting at leadership spaces. And also the internal frustration of wanting the current environment that you work in to transform, but they don't get it the way that you get it. So the question is, do you fight against the system, or do you look at other avenues of how then you actually bring this vision to life and share your story with the world? So that was one of the foundational reasons we started the business, is to actually give space and expression to women like ourselves, Black women like me, to be able to operate and run a business in a very competitive space as media and communications. So that was one of the founding reasons. And even with the challenges coming into the space, the question is, has the one reason you started the business, has that challenge been solved? And the answer is no. So you keep at it. So that's what we set out to do. I started the business on my own. And I like to say to people, especially, and I'm glad Jill and other VCs are on the call, when entrepreneurs come to look for funding or support, it's always important to understand where it is they are looking for the support. Case in point, my business is in media and communications marketing specifically. Everything I needed is in my brain. I needed a PC. I didn't need additional funding for things that were not necessary for my business. What would have helped me 8 years ago if there were funds to give me at least 6 months trajectory of people that can support me, and we are able to run and move at speed and be able to manage the work that was coming in. But that's a conversation that will be had in terms of how then do we make sure we support women in the spaces where they need support. So we set off, we went into the marketplace, obviously leaning into the networks that we have built in the industry. At that point, when I started the business, I was already in media and communications for a period of about 15 to 16 years. So we knew our way around. There were people that we knew, there were doors that we knew we could knock on. But then you quickly realize that you handled a 400 million account But now you're a tiny little startup and no one is giving you a 400 million rand account. No matter how wonderful the relationship was, no matter how much they know you can do what you need, you set out to do, and you can actually deliver, because of the sheer size of your business, the risks are slightly different. So lesson 2 is, yes, you've got social capital, yes, you've got this amazing network, but now you're in a slightly different environment, your offering is slightly different. How then do you still participate and be active in this industry or the sector that you've set out to get into? So with us, it was realizing that, okay, we know all these ex-clients of us, they loved our work, it's fantastic, but we can't get that entire piece of the pie. So how do we find leeways and open doors to get into that business and still offer those services while we grow ourselves as a business? With us, we realized that one of the greatest opportunities in the time that we were starting the business was in the more not so, I call it the not so sexy sides of our industry advertising, i.e. it's not the flashy brands, it's the more business brands, it's the renewable energy companies, it's the small mining companies. But we realized that what we then offered to them was something that they were not receiving from other players in the industry, i.e. one of our first clients mentioned that the other reason they were signing us on to be able to do work with them was the fact that we came with global experience, but we were not charging global money. It's a compliment as a small business, but in the long run, you realize that this person has no intention of giving you global money. So also keeping that in mind in terms of how then do you ensure that the offering you put on the table is getting the real value in terms of returns to your business, but you also are able to deliver that value to client. So what we've done over the past 8 years is really honing our skills in that particular space, focusing more on medium to large growing businesses in South Africa that may not have the expertise from a big global agency, but they are able to work with us and we are able to take them over the line with the expertise that we have. But it hasn't been roses, to be honest. 8 years in, there was COVID in the mix. During COVID, we realized that, look, the business may potentially shut down if we don't really elevate and start offering services that we were not necessarily offering. So when we got to COVID as a business, we realized that we really need to up our ante in terms of digital marketing services, as the environment dictated it at that point. So our services were more focused on corporate communications, radio, TV, advertising, and etc., the more traditional media, if you will. But we hadn't really honed and expanded our offering in digital. So when COVID hit, we really had to decide we're either closing or we're upskilling ourselves as a business and ensuring that we are able to still participate. And we upskilled ourselves and we were able to share and offer more robust services to clients. But I think for me, in terms of staying within the topic and understanding the founder's journey, is being able to know where your business is, what the external challenges your business is facing, but also the internal limitations that you also cannot deliver at that particular point. So always being able to look, what is the environment dictating? How are we able to participate? How are we able to still ensure we are delivering value for our clients and also at the same time keep the business?
Avocado tree. Visit those looking at your face. Auntie Ruru, come explain.
Thank you, Vu. May we all stay on mute, ladies. I know I'm going to be brief because we are waiting for the conversations around money. I know it's always around the innovation and the investment. And Femi and Jill are coming, but may we please kindly keep our mics on mute so that we can get through the program rather speedily. So
Let me briefly, Mandisa. You've got 3 more minutes.
Thank you. So let me fly to the crux of the matter. So part of my journey in business, again, lesson being 1, you must always remember your why. to understand the environment that you're operating in, what your limitations are, and how then do you come up with a different offering that will still keep you in business. But 3, which was very critical for us, was finding a network of like-minded women. When I started a business, I had no idea about anything related to business. All my colleagues and my friends and my circle were employees like me. So it was very critical for me to find a support system, a network, a platform where I could meet other women in business. And that's how I ended up joining the Businesswomen's Association 2018. And I think for me, it was really being in an environment where you are able to learn from your peers, learn from other women who've taken a few steps ahead of you, and be able to, get the information that you need, get the support that you need, and take your business to the next level. So what we have, what we were able to benefit from the Businesswomen's Association then was a network of women that we could lean into, programs that the association was rolling out to members that we were able to benefit from. So just briefly, because I've got 1 minute, and I'm sure my colleagues at Boasa who are online are going to smack me. I should have spent the 20 minutes talking about us. But briefly, in terms of the association itself, the Businesswomen's Association became that platform for me, and I believe it is the platform for any woman that is going into business, in leadership, looking for a space where they find the support, the network, and like-minded women that you can share resources with, and also be a platform for development. So the association has been around since 1980. We celebrate 45 years this year. And a lot of the work that we are doing in terms of the vision of the BWA going forward will be unraveled and unleashed in the month of August. But what I want to mention is that in your journey as a woman, whether you're in South Africa, whether you are in the DRC, Ghana, Nigeria, it's really important to find a network where you can tap in and find the information that you need to take your business to the next level. What we are rolling out as part of our 45th anniversary, and really cementing our role in supporting women in the economy, is a digital ecosystem where we'll be loading training modules, and there's a whole community of other women that you can learn from, in order for us as African women, in order for us as businesswomen to start really growing our business exponentially. It's one thing us asking for industry to do X for us, asking for ABC to do X for us, but it's also very important for us to empower ourselves and find the necessary tools and people to take our businesses forward. So I think, and on that, based on my 30 seconds left, I'd like to just say that I look forward to the journey that we are about to take with ABLI and team. But I think what is important to me, and just wrapping up what I needed to share this evening as part of the journey of a founder, the journey of an entrepreneur. Innovation is not necessarily limited to tech. Innovation is innovative thinking. How do you solve the problems in your business and still keep your business running, keep your business afloat, and try to aim for growth in your business? It could be changing systems. It could be changing the personnel in your team. It could be changing a few things in your organization to really make sure that it leapfrogs to the next level. So I don't want us to always think, when we think of innovation, we always think about the next Starlink or the next tech innovation. Innovation comes in many forms in business, and the onus is on us to really think outside the box, lean in on support structures like the association, like ABLI, and really look forward to finding how we can take our businesses forward. Because when you start knocking on Jill's door, she's not going to buy your beautiful story about how you started your business when your son was 6 weeks old. She wants to see the growth. She wants to see the intention. She wants to see how you are also thinking about your business, not only in the next 6 months, but in the next 3 years, in the next 10 years. And I think for me, very importantly, as a parting shot, how your business, honestly, as an African woman, does benefit the economy that you operate in. If we are doing business for the fun of it, doing business for the sake of it, and we're not driving real intentional impact, I think all our efforts will be a waste and will be in vain. So for me, I just want to say, as you go on to your journey as a founder, as a woman in leadership. It's not easy, but the support is there. The partners are there to support you. But the biggest thing you can do for yourself is remember your why, think differently, find solutions, and just keep moving forward, because we are the answers that we have been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mandisa, for those rich words and the insightful presentation or speech. Key takeaways, you know, it's not about, innovation is not confined to tech and AI. That's what I got from your presentation. Change systems, be ethical, make it about humanity, and yeah. So thank you once again, Mandisa. Moving on, I would like to call upon the CEO for Innovest Africa, Femi Moyito, to come in and shed light into what awaits us as women in business. Thank you. Over to you, Femi.
Hi, everybody. I think I was first like very excited when I saw the poster and I saw myself sitting next to 3 beautiful women. So like, wow, that's a really great privilege. But then again, I have 4 sisters, so I've always been around women all my life. So yeah, but it's great to be here. Thank you, Brenda, Vu, and nice meeting you, Mandy. And I'm sure most people are wondering what's this Nigerian American doing in the midst of South African women. But I would say maybe I might share a bit about my journey to how it came about Innovest Africa and what we seek to accomplish with Innovest Africa. So I started my journey in fintech shortly after M-Pesa launched. So you can tell you how long ago it has been, you know. But I started my journey in Nigeria, and we started a fintech company that was literally trying to mirror M-Pesa in Nigeria at the time. But of course, you know, with the evolution of the mobile phone and you know, things change very rapidly. There was a lot of adoption, and the whole USSD code didn't quite pick up in Nigeria. So we just moved quickly into apps and all of that. But beyond the fintech company, you know, it was a venture funded company, and the company was funded by some Silicon Valley angels. So I got exposed to the whole fundraising part of things, you know, where, okay, you can get funding from the United States and build this really ethical company and, you know, create jobs. And, you know, we saw how our business was transforming people's lives. And, you know, we had agents, and the agents were talking about, oh, since I joined Paga, you know, my income had, you know, my revenues had gone up XYZ much. And I think that left a very big impression on me. Now, this was like in the early 2000s, early 2010, 2009, 10, 11, you know. It left a big impression on me, because before then it was all about just get a job, get a nice car, you know, buy a house, you know, and that was like purpose for me, you know. But purpose shifted to creating impact. It shifted to, you know, how you can use entrepreneurship to transform lives and transform nations. And I think with that thought in my head, it left a very serious thought, and I knew that this was the path I was going to tread. I was in that experience for about 5 years, and after that, I moved to the United States, and you know, I continued my education, did an MBA, and I knew when I was doing my MBA, you know, when it was time to focus, you know, I knew it had to be entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship that will take me back to Africa. And so that's I think where the idea of Innovest Africa started. After my MBA, I went to a venture capital company, a firm, and I won't talk too much about my experience there, but one lasting experience I had that formed the lasting impression was how hard it was for people of color to get funded. And I know on the continent, everybody talks about, I mean, it's difficult on the continent, but it became really interesting to see that even outside the continent, people of color still had this same problem. You know, as a Black founder, you could be a Harvard graduate, you could have all the Stanford degrees, you could have everything, but it was still as difficult as if you were sitting in Cameroon or you were sitting in Cape Town, I don't know. And I think that was where the whole idea of Innovest Africa was birthed. Like, you know, how do we solve this problem? I didn't think it was one of those things where people sat in covens and said, hey, you know what, we're not going to give this person money. But I thought we needed to build bigger networks. And we need to make our networks more inclusive. Let's bring people together. Let's create our own networks. You know, if I come as an African woman and I say, hey, I have this hairdressing salon, or I have this hairdressing business, or I have this hairdressing innovation. If you're not an African, you might struggle to understand how much that can generate. So it's not really because sometimes it's not because it's just because we don't understand, you know, some of the cultural nuances and differences. So how do we solve that? You know, maybe if we build bigger networks, collaborate more, you know, project good businesses to other networks, maybe we can solve the problem. And it is a big problem. I mean, it's a $1 billion problem, you know. So that's where the idea of Invest Africa was birthed. And what we try to do is prepare African founders, whether you're on the continent or you're not on the continent. You might be in the UK, you might be in Europe, you might be in the US, you might be in Brazil. I mean, I'd like to see us do a program in China sometime soon for Africans in China. But African founders who have fantastic businesses, how do we match them with funding opportunities? VC opportunity, VC funding, angel funding, and that's the crux of what we do. But we work twofold. While on the one hand, we do the whole trying to match it with funding, we also want to make sure that you are ready for funding. It's not just about going out there and listening, particularly if you want VC funding. VCs have they have a playbook that they use, you know, when they want to fund. You know, you have to you have to tick certain boxes, you have to make sure that certain things are in order. And sadly, not many founders, particularly early stage founders, are aware of of things like that. So we have this 8-week program that we do, which is the Innovest Ignite Accelerator, fast track program, 8 weeks, asynchronous. It's hosted online on our learning management platform, very mentor-led and mentor-driven, where we take you step by step through your business, looking at your revenue models, looking at your business model, looking at your pitch deck, looking at your marketing, looking at what research have you put into your business. But we take you through this 7-step course, and the goal is that at the end of the program, you would look at your business differently and, you know, begin to fix the things that you think need to be fixed so that you're ready for investments. A big part of the program is also mentor matching. We have a whole week where you just talk to mentors. Our mentors are not academics. Our mentors are actually business owners who have done stuff like this. So you're talking to Mandisa, who is a businesswoman. You know, when you're talking to her, she understands the pain you've gone through. She understands the issues you faced, and she's relatable. Not that you're talking to a professor in a college who is giving you theory and saying, oh, you need to do this. But that's really how our mentorship program is. And every participant will have the chance to meet at least 5 to 6 mentors in the course of the program. These are, you know, founders who have exited successful startups, business leaders who are still doing stuff, you know, but people who are relatable, and you'll get the chance to look at people who are in your field or doing stuff that's interesting to you. So why are we bringing it to South Africa? Yeah, we like I talked about it earlier on. It's a global. It's an African program. It's a global program. It's not restricted to one country. We've done 2 cohorts in Nigeria. We had one in Lagos. We had another one in Abuja. We just had one in Ghana in June. And I met Vu through a mutual friend, and we started talking, and you know. And somehow we got talking about South Africa and the opportunities in South Africa, and even particularly how that for women in South Africa, the inclusion still falls below global averages. And we thought it would be a fantastic idea to do a program in South Africa. Don't forget I told you earlier on that I have 4 sisters, so I'm very invested in female-led. And my niece is on this call too, so yeah, just FYI. Yeah, so that's how we found ourselves in South Africa. But we're launching the program. Let me just talk very, very quickly about the program. We are launching the South Africa cohort 1st of September. So applications are open. You can apply. It's on the ABLI website. They are our strategic partners, by the way. So we wouldn't be able to do this without them. And just want to say shout out to Brenda for all the hard work, and for Stephen in the background, always pushing and making sure everything's working well, and for Vu, the rainmaker, for all that we've done, all of you guys have done to make this come to pass. Applications are open. You can find the application on our LinkedIn page or website, on ABLI's website. The program starts September 1st, 8-week program. It will end October 31st. And we would have an investment summit and a demo day where we would showcase the startups that we've worked with on November 19th. The program is dedicated to women-owned or women-led startups. And like I said earlier, the focus is on investment readiness, product refinement, and scalable growth. You would have access to mentors, investors, ecosystem partners, and a chance to pitch to all of these people on the demo day. Some of the things that we look at, so look, let me talk about our curriculum first. Our curriculum, we focus on crafting your value proposition, mastering the art of selling. We strongly believe that if you cannot sell a product, then you don't have a product. Engaging your customers, understanding your customers, targeting them, and making sure that you have the right communication to these customers. And a very important part, the last but not the least, is how to fundraise. If you have a business and you plan to scale quickly, at some point you would need financing. So how do you access financing? What do you need to do on your own end, to prepare yourself for financing? At the end of the program, we would like all participants to have a clear and compelling pitch, a refined product with a strong product market fit, a structured go-to-market plan, and a solid fundraising strategy. We also put our money where our money where our mouth is. So we don't just talk about funding and put the program out and not provide some funding. So we also have a micro fund where at the end of the program, we review all the participants and we pick the people that we think are best prepared, and we give them a chance to come into our deal room where we work with them a little further, deep dive into their businesses, and if they're eligible, they can have access to our funding. But whether you get funding from us or not, we continue to work with you, give access to our investor networks, showcase your business, put you on all our platforms, just to take you from where you are to the next level. And for success stories, yeah, we've had a lot of success stories from our cohort 1. We've had startups that have gone ahead and received up to $100,000 funding from our cohort 2. We've had startups who are already in talks with our investor partners for funding. And we also have startups in our deal room right now that before the end of the year will receive funding from us. That's about it from my end. Brenda, I hope I kept to time.
You did exceptionally well, Femi. Thank you very much for that presentation. And I'm sure all the ladies are excited about the money. It's always about the money. The opportunity for funding, for investments in being injected into their businesses. So yeah, thank you very much for clarifying that. And we look forward to more applications. We shall be inboxing you further details. But for all you know, we have been posting and sharing on our social platforms. You are welcome to follow us and as well retrieve such information from those platforms. Nonetheless, we shall be inboxing you personally details of this 8-week accelerator program. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you.
Moving on, our next speaker is going to be Egla. And you will recall that when I started, I mentioned that Egla came down with a flu. For a second, I thought she was pranking me until she gave me a call and she sounded so terrible. We are praying for you, Egla, and wishing you a speedy recovery. So we have Jill, who is Egla's partner. But before we give it up to you, Jill, Egla, kindly unmute your mic and just greet the ladies and the few gentlemen on the platform. Egla, please. Thank you.
It is.
Okay, please mute it very, very quickly. You can mute.
Shame.
All right. Over to you, Jill. Thank you.
Shame. Thank you so much, Brenda. And apologies, you can hear my amazing partner, Egla, is feeling very under the weather. We've just finished up 2 days of grueling due diligence with potentially our lead investor. So I think it's been a tough one. Thank you so much for having Egla and MSFiT Ventures and for taking the boring old me while Egla is recovering for her voice. Thank you all for taking the time. I'm not, you are going to hear the story of Egla's, how she got to MSFiT Ventures, but that's not going to be from me. That will happen at another time. But what I'm going to do is share 3 stories about my interactions with Egla and how we've actually worked together to build out MSFiT Ventures. And I think they speak to kind of the person she is. And I'm sure that when she kind of highlights, a longer form of that story, you'll see that it's taken a lot for all of us to get here. So maybe just to highlight a little bit about kind of who I am the boring finance person, the other side of MSFiT Ventures. So Egla is the entrepreneur. She was working with her mom running an FMCG business in high school. And then she went on to manage $1 billion in kind of the corporate world, mostly managing, at one point she was managing the Saab's money. And then she went off because she got bored managing the South African Reserve Bank money. And she went off and did the global subsidiaries. So then she worked with like the Coca-Cola Ugandas of the world and tried to help them get debt. And that's where she really kind of cut her teeth. When I met her, she had just finished and graduated from her MBA. She went out and did her MBA specifically in how financial literacy can actually improve small businesses. And obviously that comes from her background because as a small business, you realize those small things like financing start to actually become big things that you really need to understand. So yeah, Janine, I know. Tough times, and thank you for being here and supporting us. We appreciate it. So Egla is a badass from beginning to end. And I was working at Newtown Partners. We had built out quite an interesting book of businesses, mostly in Africa, and the ones that were doing really well, the ones I loved, obviously, I'm going to speak about them that they're doing well, but the ones I loved were all female-led. And I knew we needed more team members to come on and support us and help us. And we were interviewing and Egla walks through the door. I'm not going to say that it was very exciting because this was a woman that very much understood entrepreneurship, understood how to invest, but very quietly just as a sponge that learns things. And we got on and I think in the first conversation we had, I was like, what I want to do is support women businesses. And we've got this portfolio of amazing women businesses, but they're struggling to raise capital. So we need to actually get the team up and running so that we can help them raise. Or kind of help them on that next follow-on piece. So I, sang my story about female entrepreneurship and why it's so important and why I care about this. And then Egla was like, that's really great. I totally believe you. This is exactly what I want to be doing. This is what I've been setting myself up for. Let's go. And then we had to have the uncomfortable conversation where she asks, how much am I going to get paid? Working for a small corporate venture capital fund. And I previously worked in a large corporate. So I had to have a very realistic conversation. And it was those first moments when you realize that Egla has an amazing way to connect with people and ask the hard questions. You know, we had a conversation about salary before she even joined Newtown Partners. I was frank. I said, you're going to take a huge pay cut. And it's not going to be great, but we're going to be able to do some amazing work for women. And you're going to learn so much in that process. And I don't know why, but she agreed to come on. And then we started working together. And actually, kind of most of the money that I was able to deploy, I was able to deploy with Egla working alongside me. And these were businesses that were, you know, operating in really tough markets like Nigeria and Egypt. And when I say tough markets, I say it's a tough market because the currency exchange really doesn't do you any favors. You know, you could be growing 4 times kind of annual revenue, but when that, you know, currency depreciation hits, it looks like you're kind of only just barely breaking even, or kind of growing in that US dollar term. So they were operating in tough markets, but we were actually able to, you know, kind of work together to provide that support and that's almost second pair of hands to help these businesses raise. And these are not, you know, small SMEs. These are, you know, startups that have raised $1 or $2 million. They're on their way to kind of doing a large Series A. You know, these are very substantial businesses that are growing fast. But it was still an uphill battle as female-led businesses to convince your investors that you're going to be able to continue doing what you're already doing. And so you had to get all of your, you know, every kind of document request they're going to have, they would throw at you. So for us, it was really about working with them and alongside them to actually say, how do we actually, apologies, how do we support you so that we're making sure that you're putting your best foot forward in front of investors? So Egla and myself worked really hard with that, and we realized that there's so much more support that is needed. It's not just capital. It's actually, you know, reviewing your pitch deck, discussing strategy, and kind of, you know, actually going in and saying, okay, that pitch wasn't great for these reasons. How can we improve it in future? So we realize that there's a lot of support that's needed in our industry, but also that it's really still hard for women to start businesses. And through our work at Newtown Partners, we had a global portfolio. So, you know, myself and Egla were very much working on the African piece, but we had investments in SaaS software companies in the US and Singapore. You know, those really fast growing, you know, those guys that are doing 80% margins and all that good stuff. And when we looked at our portfolio, the ones that were outperforming and doing the best in US dollar terms, growing faster, and, you know, kind of hitting profitability faster were the female-led startups operating in those tough markets like Nigeria and Egypt. They were outperforming the US SaaS and anyone else that tried to come compete with them, but they weren't getting the recognition that they deserved because it was still an uphill battle for them to raise. So then from myself and Egla, then we started, you know, we kind of kept seeing this problem again and again and again. And we also kind of, you know, we started diving into why is it so hard for everyone to get access to capital? Why are these female-led businesses or these female-led SMEs, why are they not growing? And with a bit more research, we realized that unfortunately the banks in South Africa and throughout Africa, they don't have that risk appetite to invest in early stage businesses. And that's what you need to have. You need to have that, you know, VC almost like appetite for risk sometimes to step in and say, we're going to provide debt to SMEs. And that's the piece that we started realizing there was a bit of a gap here. And then we actually joined, well, let me actually phrase this a little bit better. And that's leading into my second story. The first was Egla was smart enough to invest in herself, but take the pay cut now. The second one was her ability to always be creating those connections with people through honest communication, but also leverage them so that you can keep building that next piece. So, you know, we'd always said we really want to be doing something. We discussed it, you know, we had a few ideas, we'd had a few even sessions talking about a female focused fund. But it was only when Egla came to me and she was like, there's this really cool organization called 2X, and I think we should apply for their fund manager accelerator. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think we're, we're nearly there. We've got a few documents, we've got a few bites, let's see what it would take to start a fund manager or be a fund manager, to raise a whole bunch of money and then invest it. And that was actually Egla going, I have the initiative. I know that we need some training. I know that we need some help. And I know that we need to be around our peers who are also going through similar things we're going through. So we applied to the 2X piece, and we were lucky to get in. We were one of the, Janine was on our 2X as well, and we were the youngest fund. Everyone was kind of, been about a year or two into their fundraising journeys. They deployed capital, and some were on their second fund. We were kind of just the guys being like, we're looking to raise a proof of concept, fund. We're only looking to do 5 million, and we really want to see what this is about. But we were able to leverage those peer-to-peer communications, create amazing friendships. But also, when they first had a look at us, they said, okay, you're too early. But it was Egla who actually went down to Joburg, and she attended or managed to get a free ticket to go to AVCA. And it was there that she saw the 2X guys, and they were hosting kind of their, graduation or, start of the new accelerator. And she managed to convince someone to, let her in on a few of the sessions, just as a potential. We're not saying we're going to in yet, but just as a potential, or, let's see. And she did so well, and managed to actually, so eloquently outline what our vision was for MSFiT Ventures, that because of that, they actually said, no, we're going to make a little bit more space for a very young new fund for this kind of new model that we haven't done before. And that was all because Egla had the initiative to say, okay, I can see you're saying a little bit of a no, but how can I turn that no into a yes? How can I connect with you and identify what actually you do need so that I can make this something that I learn from, but then also something that I can gain from, right? So I think that was also just incredibly impressive. And then, we were going through this 2X piece, and we were getting really excited. We were like, we're going to provide debt to female-led SMEs. This is going to be so exciting. We're going to be able to raise debt, from, say, government organizations and high net worth individuals. And, it's going to be a great thesis alongside Newtown Partners, other kind of pieces. And we were really excited to pitch it to them. And, I think from their perspective, they're equity investors, and they know kind of those large check sizes. And myself and Egla kind of come out of our training, and we say, we really want to do 100,000 Rand as a small starting check, and kind of only go up to 5 million Rand. Kind of $1 million is 20 million Rand into one SME or kind of one startup. So for them, you're taking kind of the stage, and you're making it much, much smaller, and you're moving into kind of a space that really that's not really their risk appetite, and never has been. So then we also had to kind of take that, that big gulp of like, okay, this isn't something that they're going to want to take forward. So are we going to either do the thing they want to do, or are we going to, quit and actually do the thing we want to do? There were so many, Egla calls them scenario planning exercises, where we would sit down with each other, and honestly over a Zoom call, and we would plan out all of the different scenarios for how it would go if we quit our jobs and decided to start MSFiT Ventures full time. There were, plannings of how long we had runway for, who would be our early investors, who would support us, would we lose any reputation because, we're not kind of staying on with Newtown Partners. We did it all. We went back and forth and in and out. And there was actually, I remember the moment that we were going in to quit, and I was so scared. I remember I felt like I was shaking, because I was like, is this the right? And it was incredibly empowering having Egla standing next to me, because I knew that together we were going to be able to make this work. But it was having that support of someone who had gone through every single one of the worst case scenarios I could have ever come up in my head and found potential solutions for them before we decided to quit. And that enabled me, and I think her, to have that motivation of, it's better for us to take the risk now while we can do the things we want to do and the way we want to do it. And it's worth it for that risk. Yes, we're saying goodbye to some stable salaries and all of that good thing. But when you find your why, as Mandisa outlined, which is so important, then it's very difficult for you to turn back, because you realize, okay, I have to quit. I have to do it my own way, because we need to be providing this type of loan for this type of business. And that's where we think the gap is. And we're going to have to, as the young people say these days, stand on business, and kind of have that backbone. But I don't think I would have been able to have done it if I didn't have Egla beside me, to be perfectly honest. As I said, I'm the straight finance person. So, I got the finance degree and all of that good stuff. And then, I was an equities trader, and then did some hedge funds, private equity, and then VC. So I was very much an employee, Mandisa, as well. And it was Egla, having been an entrepreneur, having had that inspiration and had that piece, that I think really helped me. So I'm going to stop off there. But 3 stories that I really think highlight the impressive African woman that Egla is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill. I am positive you did justice to what Egla would have shared.
Unfortunately, Brenda, I don't think so. She is much more eloquent than me. But we tried.
You sound bubbly for an accountant, trust me.
I know. I actually wasn't good enough to be an accountant, so I'm just a finance person. It's even worse than that.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Jill. And thank you for echoing what Mandisa also shared about finding your why. I also loved what you mentioned about, I'm just paraphrasing, but you've reminded women not to just be comfortable, to simply have a seat at the table, but they should be bold enough to build the table. They should be bold enough to fund the room and to bring others with them. It reminds me of my conversation with Mandisa the very first time, and I was sharing with her that as women, once we make it, we should always remember to send the elevator down to fetch other women. And I would like to share this on this platform. Once we've made it, let's send the elevator down so we can also mentor each other in our own capacity. You don't have to be a professional mentor, a professional coach. Such platforms, we will be opening them up to the audience at some point, to the participants. We'll be opening up the platform so that you can also share your stories, and not just attend to listen to keynote speakers. But once again, well done, Jill. And thank you. Okay, we have come to the end of our session, but I would like to commend the speakers for such a soul-stirring session that we've had today. I would also like to thank our partners and incredible audience. So to you ladies on the platform and the few gentlemen, thank you very much for showing up with such heart and purpose on such a special day, Africa Women's Day. I would also like to say my hearty thank you to our CEO, Mr. Stephen Chikojo, for the bold vision and unwavering commitment to advancing not only Africa Business Leadership Institute and Africa Business Inc., but also your commitment to advancing women in leadership and innovation. It would be so unfair for me to just bid farewell without acknowledging and thanking our Chief Strategist and Marketing Officer, Ms. Lebo Norwana Mkize, for her continued excellence in amplifying ABLI's mission and also ABI's vision. Thank you very much, Lebo. To our partners, Mandisa Mpanyana, Femi Moito, Vu behind the scenes. Thank you very much for being allies and co-builders in this journey towards inclusive innovation. Lastly, as Africa Business Leadership Institute, we would like to pitch our call to action. Right. So applications are officially open for the Innovest Ignite Accelerator, which is an 8-week program, founder-focused and tailor-made for women-owned and women-led businesses in South Africa. So ladies, this is your opportunity to receive expert-led training. It is also your chance to access hands-on mentorship. Lastly, this is a golden opportunity for you to pitch for investment from leading venture capitalists ready to back bold African women founders. So don't miss it. Apply today, because your business isn't just a project, it is a force, and we should scale it. Allow us to do that. As Africa Business Leadership Institute, we are here for your growth. Ladies, kindly join our ecosystem. We are ready to walk with you through our accredited leadership and business training, because we are in partnership with Ukwakile Training Academy, and we offer accredited training, we offer tailored coaching and mentorship, as well as strategic visibility and growth opportunities. So whether you are launching, scaling, or transforming, we're saying here at Africa Business Leadership Institute, we are ready for you. Look out for what's coming up next. Together with BWASA, Business Women Association of South Africa, led by Mandisa, we have partnered in co-creating forward-thinking, women-centric programs and events that push boundaries, shift mindsets, and unlock power where it matters most. And where it matters most is with you, ladies. Together, as African women, we can make it. So from policy dialogues to venture showcases, from masterclasses such as this one, to deal rooms such as what Egla and her team offer, I would like to encourage you to watch the space. Big things are coming. In closing, I would like to say, when women rise, nations shift. So let's keep building, ladies. Let's keep leading. Keep making room for others. There's enough space for us all. And remember, at Africa Business Leadership Institute, you do not walk alone. So this is a journey we are committed to, and we will walk it with you. Until next time, ladies and a few gentlemen, stay bold, stay brilliant, keep building, and stay blessed. Thank you very much. I see you're still here. You're welcome. I'll keep you company.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank
Brenda.
you. Thank you.